Hey, what's up everyone? It's DV. I wish this video was about showing you something new and awesome, but instead I've got some bad news. Many items like the Rageblade Blueprints, purple Firefly, and the purple Hibiscus, along with many others, were heavily duped in the millions over the past several days, which has drastically affected the value of those items. So I know many of you were actually working so hard on making your own purple Hibiscus, especially going for like a fertile, and I realize this is going to be a big downer for you. So I'm sorry if this is the first time you're hearing that these got duped heavily, but they did. Here's a screenshot that was sent to me by Family Gaming that shows a ton of duped items. You'll also find a lot of trades going on right now with these items in the thousands. So the dupe is real. Some players have like thousands of these items, and it just happened over the past couple days. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about duplication glitches and why they hurt games, in particular how it hurts islands, and it isn't worth it since a lot of players don't understand why duping is bad. So if you're here looking for a how to dupe, this is not the video. Please stop looking for that video and watch the rest of this video to understand why duping is wrong and just not worth it. So let's get into this, and be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. So first I'm going to talk about those dupes. So duping or duplicating items is when a player takes an item or several items and uses a glitch that causes the items to duplicate. A lot of these dupes, you'll see videos, about dupes like put items in a chest and, rejoin on this alt and all that kind of stuff. And most of them don't work. So most of them have been patched. So there still are some dupe methods out there that are legit and are still being tracked down. And unfortunately, after you fix one dupe, another dupe, someone finds another dupe. So there's always going to be, I think, an issue with duping, but they do need to get patched. And the more dupe methods that are out there, the harder it is to avoid this. So duping actually has been around on Roblox for a long time. I remember players were duping pets in Bubblegum Sim, which required Rumble to rewrite how they tracked pets with a unique identifier. And if you accidentally got a duped pet, like if there was like 2 pets on your inventory, you would actually get your inventory, you would actually get trade locked. But especially in Roblox actually has a lot of data issues. Unfortunately, we can't do the same thing in Islands, right? So they're not going to be able to do the same thing in Islands where you are able to do trade locks and stuff. And also because BGS only has thousands of pets, whereas Islands you can have millions and millions of items. It just doesn't work the same way. So let's talk about how duping actually affects the game. So a lot of players don't realize what duping, like big deal, someone duped items, whatever, right? That's a lot of players think that way. A lot of players are like, well, whatever that they duped, that's cool, they get a bunch of money. No, actually it affects the game in 2 ways. First, the economy, since trading exists. And then second, the game's life longevity, because a lot of the point of this game was built around grinding for items, right? So if you no longer need to grind for items, then there's no game. So you remove all the grinds, there's no game, it's just trade. And so what happens when I talk about life longevity, you're removing the gameplay, you're giving someone maybe 5 minutes of gameplay and then they're going to move on to another game, therefore killing this game, and I'm going to cover that in a little bit as well. So let's start with the economy. How does it affect the economy? So if currency is the only thing that got duped heavily, then the prices of items would just keep going up because people are going to be able to charge more, they can afford more, so they're going to continue to charge. And so you've seen that already happen with a lot of different items in the game. You might remember seeing someone saying like, I'm selling this for $1 million or $2 million, and you're just like, dude, that's so overpriced. How am I supposed to afford that? That's just too expensive. And that's because a lot of players that actually had currency or were rich, because people were buying it, they could sell it at that price because there's a lot more, rich players in the game. So you start getting this weird pricing skewed with items, so what things go for. And if you combine that with items getting duped heavily, then the items that were duped heavily will also drop in price. So suddenly you have these really weird looking prices of things. For example, buffalo core crystals are now worth over $1 million, and that's only because rich players are buying them all up, right? So it's hard to get. So what happens when all the rich people, buy up all the supplies, the price of the item goes up because they can afford it, right? And so now you've got buffalo core crystals going for $1 million, even though it doesn't take that long to actually grind for a buffalo core crystal. I think it takes I think about 45 minutes or so to get a buff cry. So now if buffalo core crystals started getting duped as heavily as crystallized aquamarine, you'd start seeing buffalo core crystals going for about 100,000, just because when you introduce thousands and thousands and thousands of an item, it's not hard to find it anymore, right? Because it's everywhere, it's in every store. And at some point people are sitting on supply because there's not enough demand to buy out their supply. And eventually it just makes the item worthless. Same goes for what happened with the titles. So this spellbook used to go for millions, and it is one of the best weapons in the game. And now it's only worth about about, I think you can still find them for about 70 to 90,000. And then you got the Gilded Steel Hammer that's still worth 1.5 million because it wasn't duped heavily. What sense does that make, right? So you got the second best weapon in the game that is worth like 15 times this best weapon here. That makes no sense. And the title used to be, like I said, the best weapon in the game, and now it's just been so duped heavily that it's like your starter weapon now. Like this is the thing you first buy in the game now in order to be able to grind, because no other weapons are as good as this. So why would you ever buy a war axe or an aquamarine sword if you could buy something like this? Same with like the Vampos and all this stuff. I mean, Vampos are worth only 30,000 now because they got duped heavily, whereas they used to be worth millions. So they're a really, really cool weapon, but now they're just kind of worthless. No one wants them. People are pretty much throwing them away. You know, there were thousands of them. So the original spellbook here, where is it? Right here. So this thing doesn't do quite as much damage as this one. And this one does an area of effect, right? So they do the same damage, but this one does an area of effect. So you're actually getting more damage because you're hitting multiple targets potentially with the title. Whereas the original spellbook is actually worth more. Believe it or not, it's worth more than the title. No one's really duping these as much because why dupe this when it's inferior to a superior title spellbook, right? So why would you ever do that? So of course this item here is worth more than this. Same for the aquamarine sword. The aquamarine sword goes still for about 500 to 600,000 and is still more valuable and is weaker than the title spellbook. It doesn't make any sense. Same goes for the iron war axe. The iron war axe sells for more than the title spellbook. It makes no sense. Now the Rageblade is worth about, I think they're selling them for about anywhere between 1 million and 3 million. This is more powerful technically than the Gilded Steel Hammer, and it is now cheaper than the Gilded Steel Hammer. It makes no sense. And this is actually going to drop into the hundreds of thousands soon. So if you're trying to, if you're trying to buy one of these, just wait a couple days, because unfortunately now that everyone's duped these are going to be worthless. These are going to be in the hundreds of thousands once they start getting out there. So again, this is a big problem with this game and dupers. It really, really ruins the economy. So next, let's talk about the gameplay aspect. So here's the thing. When's the last time, if you've been playing this game for a while, when's the last time you actually grinded wizards or scorpions and compared to slime and buffalo core? So you've probably come here for your buffalo core, maybe you're getting some crystals or something, or farming gold, and that's about it, right? Like you're not really going over to wizard anymore and killing wizards. And the reason is there's nothing there. There's nothing there to grind anymore. I have not been over here to grind in so long. And even with my alts for noob to pro, there's no point in ever grinding these, these mobs, because they're worthless. So there's no real reason to kill these guys. Like even those players over here killing these things, other than for keys, and that's probably what they're trying to grind for, is some keys, and they don't really need them. And there's no real reason to go over there anymore. So like, I don't really get it. It destroys the game because there's no real reason to grind those anymore. So if like we come over here, now what's happened is the game team actually does need to give more reason to actually like grind these areas now. Like right now, there's just no reason to grind these areas, and now the game team has to come up with new content. So they did add the Desert Nomad, but what happens if this Desert Nomad gives us something that gets duped too? Then no one's gonna come over here. And this explains why the game population is shrinking rapidly. You've taken away gameplay from players by making it too easy to get items, and now there's nothing to grind for. So typically we would grind for those items, and then you remove the need to grind it. Same goes for the purple hibiscus that many were farming for. So now that it takes, just seconds to go and just buy a purple hibiscus, no one's going to really care about flowers anymore. And so what happens, game life longevity shrinks. What I mean by game life longevity, it's an game industry term that talks about how long someone's actually going to be playing your game, right? So if your game only has maybe an hour or two worth of content for someone to grind, or even 10 hours worth of content to grind, they're pretty much going to pack up and go somewhere else and play some other games until you do an update. And then you do an update, and then they grind it, and then, obviously it trails off. And, a lot of players just kind of forget about the game. So I actually believe that's why, this game's only getting like 15,000 players at times, because there's nothing really to grind anymore, because they just, these dupers made it pretty much, it's almost like they put cheat codes on the server and made it so that I could just go to a vending machine and buy whatever I want for super cheap. It's almost like free. So at that point, you might as well just go and, enable creative mode on the game, because if you have everything, what's the point? Like if I can pretty much get everything in the game for about 10 million coins, that's kind of dumb, right? I mean, I think it's dumb. But I just heard that they duped Refineries as well, which was also a very expensive item. So what happens if they continue to dupe stuff? If at some point you're going to be able to pretty much have everything in the game that you desire for less than 10 million. So again, they're killing the game. Whether they realize it or not, they're killing the game. Only because someone wants to get some extra subscribers, or maybe they want some Robux or something, and they're willing to sell these items for those things. That's horrible. It's disgusting. But this is an example of some of the channels that are doing how to dupe videos. Like, this is sad, and most of these don't even work. So if you were actually going to go and do these, and try them, they don't work. So then we got to ask ourselves, well, why do people dupe? So there's many personal reasons why someone dupes items, right? So there's the most common two that we're going to talk about is the first one, which is really fairly innocent in their eyes, and it's just trying to be popular. So they just want to dupe so that they can, be popular among their friends. Kind of like when you are, maybe next to a vending machine as a kid, and you're just like, dude, I don't have any money, but I would love to have some free candy. So you're hoping you can find some kind of way to glitch the machine, or maybe reach into the machine to get a free candy bar or something. And in many players, that's just what it is, right? They're just trying to get something for free. And so, once they find the trick, they're going to share their, they're going to show their friends, and they're going to be the cool kid in class or whatever. And that's really what it comes down to, is players are trying to be cool. They're trying to get some subs. Look at these channels here. Look at all these videos of people trying to get subs just by doing dupe glitches. That's the only reason why they would logically post a video about how to glitch, is to get some extra subs, right? So like, that's all they care about. They're not trying to add anything to the game in a useful or in a meaningful way. Like, they're not giving you any build ideas just on how to, actually play the game better. No, what they want to do is give you cheats. They want to give you ways to cheat the system, to, take the unfair route in ways that the game team does not approve. Now, if you're talking about like doing macros and stuff, the game team fully approves macros. That is completely legitimate gameplay. And most games on Roblox actually allow you to do macros and auto clickers. That is not an unfair approach. But if you're going to talk about doing dupes and glitches, that give you the ability to, basically hack the game, to duplicate items, that's horrible. But that example is really only made up of a smaller audience. The second audience that dupes is really for financial gain. So a lot of dupers will actually sell these items, like especially gold. So they'll sell billions of gold for actual Robux or money. So like real dollars, right? So they'll sell these things like on auction sites. They'll sell them on like, they put them all over the place. And they, these people buy them, or they'll give like their account access, right, to these sellers. And the sellers will actually go and steal their account. They'll take their username and password, and they'll sell their entire account and steal everything. And that is just a horrible thing that happens, but it is what it is. I mean, you got these people, who just make a living off of selling people's content and items that are duplicated or farmed or, glitched and such, especially accounts. I think accounts are a real big issue. The main thing is these dupers are actually doing this for money, right? They're making a living off of this stuff. And so of course they're not going to reveal their duplication steps. So it's really hard for us to figure out how they're doing it, and for the game team to actually patch it, because these players are just not willing to reveal their steps or ways. And the reason like I keep running away, because they're being chased constantly in this game. I'm being chased. It's so scary going in the public servers now and being chased. But anyway, so now you're thinking like, well, DV, we got to hunt these dupers down and get them banned. We need to ban them all. Well, unfortunately, it's not that simple. And if anything, we need to find the dupe methods and get them patched and mitigated. What I mean by mitigated is there's other ways to prevent duping. And, I did make some recommendations to the game team that I hope they'll consider implementing. But if they were just to ban the dupers, then duping would still exist in the game, because what would happen is they just find an alt, they create another alt. Or if they do decide to stop, someone else is going to take their place and find the dupe method and do the same thing the other person was doing. And then, that just creates overhead for the game team to really, add moderation to the game. So how do you fix it? Well, you got to fix the duping first. You got to get rid of the dupes and the dupe methods to fix the game. So we can't really go around, hunting down dupers and trying to get them banned. I would not recommend it. But if you can find one that's willing to come forward, I know the game team would be, willing to reward them highly for giving them the steps to be able to patch. But if you actually have duped legitimately or know of a dupe, you can stay anonymous. If you are the duper, you can always stay anonymous. We don't care. I don't think the game team cares about that. They just want to fix it. So, and I personally, I don't care. I want it fixed. And if you have the method, let us know. Let me know. You can tweet me you can always contact one of my mods on my Discord, and we can get the steps over to the game team and get it fixed. And like I said, they may be willing to give us some kind of bounty for that if it's a legitimate fix and you find the issue. If you're not currently duping, you have no business really trying to dupe. So what we're really looking for is people that do know about this information already. The only reason why I care, everyone, you know, I've been working on videos every day on Islands, and it's my favorite game. You know, I'm really passionate about this game, and we need to get it fixed so that we can trust that, you know, next rare item that comes out is actually worth something and fun to play and fun to grind for, instead of someone just saying, oh, you know, cool, rare item, let me trade for one of those and dupe them. And whereas, you know, all of us spent maybe 6 hours on that item to grind for it, or days on an item to grind for it, and someone just does that. And it's just a real downer. It makes us want to quit the game. And I really don't want to quit making Roblox Islands videos. I love this game, like I said, but it's starting to lose its touch. I'm starting to lose the love a little bit when I see people ruining this game like this. So we really need to get it fixed. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as you can. I know it's a horrible, horrible topic to have to cover in a video. It's not a positive one. It's not a fun one. It's not exciting. A lot of you are going to be upset. I get it. I'm upset too. And again, don't give up on the game. I'm not giving up on the game. I'm still giving it a chance. You know, I will continue. We got some cool stuff coming up with our next update. And there's obviously the RB Battles event coming up, and we got some secrets in this game. Again, I appreciate any likes you can provide, and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you all tomorrow with another Islands video. I've got some cool stuff being cooked up, and I'll see you then. Peace.